I used to be in the Darren School District in Connecticut during my middle and high school days. It was a wealthier district, and a lot of field trips were offered to the students. I was a member of the chorus, and every year, we'd take at least 1 or 2 optional field trips as a class. The year in question, when I was a sophomore, we took a trip to Woodloch Pines Resort in Pennsylvania. The bus ride there took a few hours. I was with my friend, Landon. We were going to be sharing a room. From the moment we got there, we kind of figured it was going to be pretty dead. It was November after all, cold up there. We had 3 days planned for the trip, and there were 4 chaperones. They weren't really following us at all times. We just had to tell them what activities we were going to do. The first day was fun. Landon and I, along with 2 girls we were friends with, did some go-karting, rock climbing, went in the pool, and then went to eat dinner. After dinner, we went back to our room and just hung out for a while. For the record, not all of us students were able to get rooms next to each other. Our room was on the ground level, and there was this clear sliding door that looked out over the lake down the hill. We went back out for a bit, then came back to the room around 10 o'clock. We left the blinds on the door open. The moon was giving off this really cool reflection on the lake below. Slight pause. Little did we know that would be the start of a nightmare. If I had to guess, I'd say it was a whole hour of us just rolling around in both our beds, trying to get comfortable, occasionally talking, before Landon, whose bed was closer to the door, suddenly screamed. Shocked pause. I had no idea what was going on, why he was screaming, or if it was a joke, until I looked at the door. When I saw it was like something out of a horror movie. There was this really tall, skinny, older woman, with long grayish hair, standing on the other side of the door. The cement trail that ran past all the rooms? Completely empty. No one on the grass, no one going down the hill. We both saw her. We knew what we saw. We weren't imagining it. The next day, we didn't tell any of the chaperones, but we did tell the 2 girls we were friends with. Night came again after a long day of activities. We went into the room through the back door and made sure to shut the blinds this time. Landon fell asleep before I did. I probably fell asleep about 30 minutes later. I woke up to silence. I couldn't tell if something had actually woken me up. All I knew was that I didn't feel right. I sat up and whispered Landon's name to see if he was awake. He didn't answer, so I turned to the left, just instinctively, to look at him. But I couldn't see him. Something was blocking my view of the other bed. I looked up, and towering over my bed was the tall, old woman. She took 2 steps back and said, imitating a soft, slow voice, "Your back door was unlocked." Then she turned around and walked outside. I was frozen in bed, completely still, except for how badly I was shaking. I woke Landon up and told him what just happened. We locked the back door, shut the blinds again, and agreed we'd stay up for the rest of the night. It was already 4 in the morning, so we weren't going to lose much sleep. By 8 o'clock, we went to the dining hall for breakfast. When we got back to our room building, ready to finally tell our chaperones, we looked through the glass into the room next door. The old woman was in there. She was sitting on the bed, hands folded, sitting up straight, just facing the door, facing us. We ran straight to the front desk in the lobby building and reported her to the staff instead of the chaperones. But it was weird. None of them really knew what to do. Eventually, we convinced them to come to the woman's room with us. When they opened the door, they found the woman sitting in the same position, and there was an older man on the other bed. He looked up at them as they came in. Apparently, the woman had some kind of mental disorder. But the man? He wasn't all there either. Something about him just felt off. They weren't the kind of people you'd expect to see at a family-friendly resort. The staff wouldn't kick them out like we hoped, so we finally told our chaperones. Long story short, after a lot of back and forth between the staff and the chaperones, we ended the trip early. Everyone went home, and me and Landon, we were just happy to get the hell out of there. I stopped in my tracks when I saw some man, obviously hiding behind a stack of chairs. At first, I think I laughed. Light exhale, puzzled tone. Thought maybe he was just joking around. But then, he came around from behind the chairs and walked right up to me. He asked where the group went. I said, hesitant, I don't know. Then, he grabbed my hand, told me to follow him. I must have thought he was taking me back to the group. But he led me toward an exit door, which opened up to the back section of the building. There were a couple of dumpsters, a few benches, and beyond that, the woods. When we got outside, his tugging became a lot more aggressive. His grip tightened around my arm. He started pulling me toward the woods. I didn't scream. I didn't cry for help. But I remember that feeling in my stomach. Like I was so afraid. I could throw up. Then, sharp beat, a woman screamed. At the top of her lungs. It was one of the teachers, on the other side of the fence. The man let go of me and bolted, ran straight into the woods. Moments later, a few of the teachers came running out that same exit door to the fence. They pulled me back inside. The teachers were yelling at me, but also comforting me, smothering me, trying to keep me calm. They called my parents, and just like that, the field trip was over. The owners of the attraction called the cops. We all got back on the buses. We all went home. But as my bus was leaving the parking lot, my observant little 8-year-old self spotted something. The man. He was crouched down in the woods near the road, hiding behind a branch, watching the buses pass. Again, and for whatever bizarre reason, I kept quiet. Maybe I was too shy, maybe too shaken up to speak. All the other kids on the bus looked at me weird the rest of the ride home. I didn't care, but I hoped that man never found success in snatching an unsuspecting young kid. Like I was back then. Back in high school, I took this class, kinda like mysteries and mythology or something like that. I don't remember the exact name, but it was all about real-life mysteries and creepy stuff. And yeah, I was into that kind of thing. I was taking the class with a good friend. I'll call him Ben for this story. The teacher took us on a field trip to a nearby abandoned village. No one really knew much about its past. It was built sometime in the early 1900s, but for some reason, it looked like it had been abandoned not long after that. The bus ride there was about 20 minutes. All of us were glued to the windows as we pulled up this sketchy-looking, decrepit road, winding through dense forest. Eventually, the road opened up into a clearing. We stepped out onto cracked pavement, grass growing right through it. The surrounding grass came up to our knees in some spots. And then, there were the buildings. Tall, archaic, brick. The windows were all boarded up, and the vibes they gave off. Low voice, chilling. The teacher lined all 20 of us up, counted heads, and led the way. The idea was to use the skills we supposedly learned in class to figure out why the village was abandoned so long ago. Some of the buildings had gaping holes in the walls where you could walk in. Others had holes dug beside them, leading into the basements. That was creepy enough. But there was one building, taller than all the others. It just pulled my attention. While the teacher led the group toward what looked like an old village church, Ben and I decided to sneak off and explore on our own. We headed straight for the tall building. By the back door, we saw a hole, dug right into the ground. The door had been sealed shut, but the hole had a ladder in it, leading down to a concrete floor. We looked at each other. No words. We just knew we had to go in. Ben went down first, then me. This was around the time Apple had started putting flashlights on their phones, so we had some light at least. It was creepy down there. Beer bottles, one graffiti tag on the wall, dusty wooden planks everywhere. There was also a wooden stairway that led upward into complete darkness. Every window, every door sealed shut from above. We'd already gone this far, so we figured, why not go up? I led the way. With each step, that 100-year-old wood creaked like it was going to give out underneath me. Ben followed close behind. This floor felt tight, narrow hallways branching off into smaller rooms. And it was pitch black. You'd never guess it was daytime. Ben and I were getting seriously creeped out. We were about to head back outside. But then a noise. Something in one of the tiny rooms, like a big rock dropping on concrete. A normal instinct would be to run. But instead, Ben and I froze. Locked eyes for a second. Then we slowly tiptoed toward the doorway of the room. We shined our flashlights into the dark and ran. Back down the stairs. Up the rusty ladder. Out into the open again. We caught up with the group, completely out of breath. Didn't say a word. We didn't want to get in trouble. One of our classmates asked us what was wrong. We told him we snuck into one of the buildings. And when we shined our lights into one of the rooms, there were 3 guys, standing about 10 feet away. Just standing there, facing us. Not moving. Not saying anything. Like they were waiting for us. We kept walking with the group, but we paid extra attention to that tall building. From a distance, just before we left, we saw a face, peeking out from one of the higher windows. One of the only ones that hadn't been boarded up. We never told the teacher. We were too afraid of getting in trouble. And honestly, we didn't even know what to think. Were they just homeless guys? Some kind of gang? Hiding out? Ben freaks me out with his theory. He thinks they were ghosts. The original townspeople, still haunting the village. I don't know. But the way those three guys were standing there, so calm, just staring at us the second we looked in, that image still haunts me. I still can't get it out of my head. One day, I might go back to that village, just to prove Ben wrong.